What's up, losers? Today I'm looking at some more posts from r/fatlogic and responding to them with my usual open-mindedness and cheer. This is episode 25, which makes it the Silver Jubilee. How nice. Thanks to everyone who has been along for the ride with me so far. And let's hope that these 25 videos are just the beginning. With all of that sappiness out of the way, let's get into today's posts.
Thin privilege is being able to browse Reddit without fat phobia. It doesn't matter what sub. Every sub ends up with fatphobic posts. I had to see a post talking about how it's healthy for underweight. Very skinny girls starting a trend online to wear child shirts as proof of skinniness, and how if anything it just highlights the childhood obesity problem. The sub about Marxism off-topic posts are always allowed everywhere, as long as they dehumanize fat people.
If thin privilege is about not getting your feelings hurt when browsing Reddit, I'm not convinced that fat oppression is as big a deal as you people make it out to be, haha. Like, you do realize how overdramatic and childish you sound speaking about such minor problems in such serious terms. Right. As for the example given about the skinny girls wearing children's clothes, it's a bit hard for me to evaluate the posts, given that I haven't seen them. But let's just say that I'm not ready to accept this account at face value. I don't consider fat activists to be reliable narrators, in light of their often strained relationship with truth and reason. If the girls are actually underweight, and showing off their unhealthy thinness by wearing tiny children's clothes, I would consider that pretty cringy. And I can see how it might be potentially damaging to other people's body image, or triggering to those who suffer from eating disorders. I wouldn't try to kick these people off the platform or anything, but I would suggest that they rethink the impact that their posts could have on the people who see them. With that being said, I don't see how people talking about this trend, and linking it back to childhood obesity, is somehow dehumanizing fat people. Like, it's not really providing a commentary on fatness at all. Other than that, presumably, childhood obesity is bad and on the rise. Which, 1, is completely true, and 2, falls well short of dehumanizing fat people. Like, can we please maintain an appropriate sense of scale here? Nobody is being dehumanized. It's going to be okay. Really, what this post represents is yet another example of fat activists making everything about themselves. If this trend is harmful to anyone, I would think that it was harmful to people who value thinness, and people suffering from body image issues and restrictive eating disorders, because it is arguably encouraging them to pursue thinness beyond what is healthy. But somehow, this poster thinks that the biggest issue is how all of this might make fat people feel. Because of course they do. Everything has to circle back to fat people and their feelings. Yet no matter how much fat activists might complain, not everyone is going to want to be fat. And that's okay. It's not fatphobic to prefer to be thin. It's just a personal preference. If you're a confident, body-positive, fat person, I don't really see how skinny people doing skinny people things is going to shake you to your core, and make you feel dehumanized. But what would I know?
The BMI scale was developed in the 1800s, when cocaine was still recommended as a health supplement.
Who cares? That doesn't mean anything. A lot of things were developed in the 1800s. Some were genius. Others were stupid. Presumably, if the BMI were as terrible as you think it is, it would have been abandoned. Like how cocaine was abandoned as a health supplement. Honestly, this post is just dumb. I have nothing more to say.
What an amazing batch of comments. From sheet people, you smug little. Read the research. Twits have clearly never read the research, showing that dieting for weight loss only works for 5% of people. The other 95% gain all the weight back. and usually more. Bariatric surgery comes with its own set of health issues, including inadequate vitamin absorption, and a 30% chance of developing issues with alcohol. If you had a health issue, and your doctor said that they had nothing to offer you, but a drug that had a 5% chance of effectiveness, but a 95% chance of making you worse, would you take it? So when you get all on your high horse about who should lose weight for their health, what exactly are you suggesting? There is no consistently effective way to lose weight and keep it off. So just shut up about people's bodies.
Thank you. Why are the top commenters nasty pieces of shit?
Finally, someone who knows what they're talking about. Everyone else hating is a diet-cultured robot who doesn't know shit about statistics or science around this.
Redacted. You have to stick with it if you want the weight to stay off. You can't just diet, then lose the weight and go back eating the way you were. You'll just gain it back. It's like when people stop taking their antidepressants because they feel better. That means they were working. You have to keep up with it for the rest of your life, if you want the changes to stick.
Yeah, these people are just shit stenes of humanity. They don't care about research or facts. They just hate fat people.
Well, that was exhausting. I feel like reading that post aged me 20 years. There's a lot to unpack here. So I'm guessing this response is going to be a long one. Buckle in. First up, I want to give major props to the commenter who waded into this swamp of bitterness and self-pity to deliver a much-needed dose of reality. They are completely right in pointing out that dieting is not, and is not supposed to be, some one-time magic bullet that solves your weight problem, so that you never have to worry about it again. It's supposed to be a lifestyle change where you lose weight at first, but eventually reach a healthy equilibrium at a lower weight which you're able to maintain. This is obviously not going to be easy. For some people, it may be one of the most difficult things they ever do. It requires consistent discipline, self-control, and in many cases, the strength of will to withstand the urge to relapse into one's food addiction. It is a true test of character. In spite of all this, it is a change that is well worth making. It allows one to become healthier, more mobile, and in all likelihood happier. It opens the door to new opportunities, and it provides a sense of personal pride and achievement that will come as a welcome change from the cycle of shame associated with binge eating. But only if you stick at it. The whole way the first comment here describes dieting illustrates to me that the person who wrote it fundamentally misunderstands what a diet actually is. Partly in that they don't seem to recognize the need for diets to be maintained, as I've just discussed, but perhaps even more crucially in that they think a diet is just another medical treatment. In their own words, like a drug, when in reality, a diet plan is a treatment of a completely different nature to a drug or even a surgical procedure. When someone administers a drug as a form of medical treatment, by and large, they are doing it in a uniform way. It generally takes little to no effort, and requires minimal skill, time commitment, or self-control. The person who is receiving the drug is less a participant in the treatment, and more a mere subject, even if they are the one administering the medication themselves. For this reason, it is relatively unproblematic to conflate the success rates of those treating themselves with a drug, and the success rate of the drug itself as a treatment, because we can assume that nearly everyone who is taking the drug is taking it correctly or as instructed. Diets, on the other hand, are nothing like this. Everyone eats different things. Everyone eats different amounts. Everyone exercises differently and for different amounts of time. Everyone has different levels of discipline, commitment to the diet plan, and patience in keeping track of what and how much they eat. When all of this is considered, even if you accepted that 95% of people who nominally attempted a diet failed, It would not mean that dieting was a treatment with a 95% failure rate. Because as I've established, these people are all doing different things under the banner of going on a diet. The actuality of the situation is not that diets have a 95% failure rate. It's that 95% of people either fail to adhere to a diet that works, or attempt a diet plan that has a more or less zero success rate. But the converse of this is that there are also diet plans that have, for all intents and purposes, a 100% success rate, provided the person in question properly adopts said diet. What this means is that the success of your diet does not depend on some roll of a 20-sided die, where only one face represents success. It depends on you. It probably also suggests that the general public is not as well educated on how to properly diet as they should be. So I'll briefly do my part to remedy that here. First, work out how many calories you need for maintenance at your current weight. There are plenty of online tools that will make this easy for you. Next, decide on a moderate calorie deficit to pursue. Go for a reasonable deficit, where you will be able to see results quickly, but you will not have to starve yourself to do so. The right deficit for you will depend on your starting weight, your desired rate of weight loss, and your own personal preferences. So each person will likely choose a different goal. If you're unsure, doing a little research online should help you to find a reasonable target. Eat at this calorie deficit, maintaining a balanced diet of course, until you reach your desired weight, and then calculate your new maintenance calories and go from there. This guide may be a little oversimplified, but I guess what I'm trying to communicate is that you shouldn't make dieting any more complicated than it needs to be. Lots of diet gurus profit off confusing you, making dieting seem more difficult than it really is, and keeping you from achieving self-sufficiency. So don't let yourself get suckered in, and keep your eyes on the prize. I've gone on about this one for ages. So to conclude, I'll just respond to the attack on quote. Read the research twits, who apparently haven't actually read the research like this person has. Well, you'll forgive me for not believing that you've really done that much research. When you come right out with the same 95% of diets fail line that all the other fat acceptance zombies do, haha. From what I gather, the 95% figure comes from a 1959 study that only had 100 participants, and no clear definition of what a diet actually was. So it's not exactly the cutting edge of research. But as I always say, I don't even need to invalidate the figure to fault the reasoning with which fat activists invoke it. So, yeah, I guess I'm just a twit. Well, that's all I've got for you today. I'm not sure this was my best video, to be honest. I rambled a bit and struggled to get my point across at times. But I did my best and I hope you enjoyed it regardless. What do you think? Is browsing Reddit in peace the height of thin privilege? Is the BMI like cocaine? Do 95% of diets fail? Let me know in the comments. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, or I'll hack into your Reddit account and make you join a bunch of fatphobic subs. Just kidding, haha. Anyway, catch you later.